afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the ninth. Yeah. Really? The ninth already? Wow. The ninth episode of Phi Kappa Tau, the podcast about anything and everything Phi Kappa Tau. Hard to believe we are winding down here. We only have 2 episodes left of the podcast for the summer. After this, it's been a heck of a ride. Once again, thank you for listening in. And as the title will suggest, this episode is going to be all about our philanthropy, which is near and dear to every Phi Tau's heart. SeriousFun Children's Network. I myself and the other 3 recruiters actually just got back. We volunteered at Roundup River Ranch for a week out in Gypsum, Colorado, and it was a lot of fun. I cannot stress enough just how much fun it was, and it was great to go give my time for a week. It's one thing to raise money, which we'll talk about in the interview today. It's one thing to raise money, but it's another thing to actually go and volunteer your time and actually see where the money that we donate goes to, and just see the overall happiness on these campers' faces when they're having fun and actually challenging themselves and learning more about themselves and just getting to be quote-unquote normal for a week and just have fun to take away from what otherwise is a hard lifestyle. And with that being said, today we talked to the 4th and final recruiter, Mr. Colton Anderson. For those of you who don't know, he accidentally signed up to work at Roundup River Ranch all summer, and we talked to him about his experiences there and what all that he got to do, as well as at the end of this, we are going to actually, if you listen to this on YouTube, you'll get to see the video. If you are listening on Spotify or iTunes, you'll just get to hear it. We will have the speech from Cliff Unger, who spoke at the SeriousFun Gala in May in New York City, which was hosted by Trevor Noah. For those of you that don't know, Phi Kappa Tau was awarded the 2019 Excellence in Philanthropy Award through SeriousFun Children's Network for our partnership with them and our continued support of them. In the past year, we raised $130,000, crushing our last record of just $100,000. And we were awarded for that at the SeriousFun Gala, as well as next year is our 25th year officially as an official partner with SeriousFun. It will be the 25th year of SeriousFun being our official philanthropy as a fraternity. And just kind of going through a history lesson for you all that might not know. Paul Newman, the actor, race car driver, philanthropist, he was a Phi Kappa Tau at Ohio University. He was initiated in 1943. In 1988, he started what was called a hole-in-the-wall gang camp. It's in Connecticut. And from there, it grew into a global phenomenon known as SeriousFun Children's Network, with camps all around the world. And it's alluded to in the interview with Colton, but for those of you who are associate or initiated undergraduate resident council members, doesn't matter if you're associate or initiated, as long as you are in the resident council, you can get up to $300 of your travel reimbursed through the Phi Kappa Tau Foundation. They have a $300 stipend for that. Just a heads up, you will have to pay for it in advance. And then from there, you will have to provide the documentation of where you went, or a gas receipt, stuff like that, with proof that you went, just because it's foundation dollars. So you will have to provide the proof to get reimbursed for that. But still, $300 is a lot of money to go to camps, which a lot of them might be located next to you. For those of you that don't know, there are 9 camps in the United States, and I'm actually about to read all 9 right now. There is Camp Boggy Creek in Florida, Double H Ranch, which is in New York, Flying Horse Farms right here in Ohio, the Hole-in-the-Wall Gang Camp, it's in Connecticut, pretty close to Double H. There's Camp Corey in the state of Washington, North Star Reach, which is in Michigan, the Painted Turtle, which is in California, out by Los Angeles, Roundup River Ranch in Colorado, very beautiful camp. Highly recommend going there. Everybody was there. Shout out to Marty. He is a former executive office staffer who currently works there. So if you need a Phi Tau connection, go to Roundup River Ranch. And the last one is Victory Junction in North Carolina, which that one's pretty cool because it is owned by the Petty family, and the king himself, Richard Petty, goes there every Tuesday. So that's kind of cool. As far as volunteering goes, the summer sessions are now closed. However, there are family camps over the fall that you can volunteer for. And honestly, as Phi Taus, I think that it would be great if your chapter could go. They need all the help that they can get, especially male role model volunteers, especially with Phi Tau. They love taking Phi Taus in. And we'll talk about it with Colton, just from hearing what Roundup River Ranch had to say in their management. They love when Phi Talk comes. They all speak very highly of us and know that we are very serious about this philanthropy. And like I said, I think that everybody should go, and it's a great time. You will learn not only so much about campers and just different things about camp, but you'll learn so much about yourself. And I highly recommend it. And again, for $300 to cover your travel just to get there, that's pretty worth it. Plus, they feed you while you're there. They have great food at all the camps. It's a really fun time, and I just can't stop speaking highly of it. It was such a great experience. I can't wait. I'm going to try and do every summer, give a week of my time to volunteer. An ultimate goal of mine would be to see all 9 in the United States, as well as I'd like to give my time overseas. There are plenty of camps overseas. There are some in Europe, some in Africa, some in Asia as well. They're all over the place. As Phi Taus and being representative and taking our philanthropy so seriously, especially after being awarded this award and us coming up on 25 years of partnership with SeriousFun, I would love to make a challenge to all Phi Taus out there for every chapter to at least send one person to volunteer for a week during the summer. Everybody can give up a week of their time during the summer. I know you can, and especially with that stipend, like I said, it's going to be fun. There were a lot of Phi Taus that even worked at camp over summer. It's a great job opportunity for you guys as well, to go and make some money as well as supporting such a great cause. So with that being said, we're going to jump right into the interview with Colton Anderson, and then after that, like I said, we'll have the speech from Cliff Unger to follow that up. Please enjoy. Now, finally, we have the 4th Zeta Lambda to work for the executive offices, Mr. Colton Anderson, who is finally back from Colorado. Colton, thank you very much for coming on.
Glad to be here, man. How's it going?
It's going good. Just got back from Colorado myself with you at camp for a week, so that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, so for you personally, you got the chance to actually work all summer at Roundup River Ranch. You were a cabin leader there. Talk about how in the world you actually ended up working for them for the summer.
Yeah, so actually pretty funny story. So it's tradition here at executive offices during the summer for the recruitment team to go and volunteer at one of the SeriousFun camps. So as you recall, we all sat down one day to sign up for session 6 of Roundup River Ranch. And after we came out of our offices, we were all discussing like the process that we went through to sign up for those. And through listening to you guys talk about it, I realized that mine wasn't exactly the same because I didn't have an option to pick like a specific week. And so I finally got my email that was inviting me for like the interview, and I noticed that my email was worded differently at the top. It actually said for a full-time position. So I'd accidentally basically just clicked the wrong button from the very beginning and accidentally applied to a full-time position. And when I mentioned that to Daryl, who's over the recruitment team, he basically mentioned that, hey, that could work. So I went ahead and I did the interview for the full-time position and talked to Tim, our CEO. He went ahead and okayed it. I called back Roundup River Ranch and let them know, like, hey, I am interested in like a full-time position. Let's move forward with this if it's possible. And then camp started on a Thursday. The Friday before that, they called me just about as work was ending and let me know that I had the job. So I had to get ready and pack all my stuff and drive to Colorado in about 4 days' time. So it was all really crazy. So
how long was that drive?
So it's like a 23-hour drive total.
Wow.
But for some reason, I thought it'd be a good idea to do the first day's drive, get as much done as I could. So I did, I think, 19 or 20 hours in the first day. So I drove from Oxford, Ohio to Aurora, Colorado, which is like right outside of Denver, all in one pass. And then the next day I drove from Denver to actual camp, which is only like another 2.5, 3 hours. So there's a lot of driving. I wouldn't recommend making it all in one day. I did the trip back in 2 days, which was a lot easier.
Well, I'm sure. Yeah, it's probably definitely better to break it up. And once you got to camp, what happened then?
So when I first showed up to camp, was about 2 weeks of specific staff training. I'm just getting to learn like camp and all the different dynamics that go on there. And one thing that really surprised me is this is like late May when I showed up, and like the mountain peaks around camp still had snow on them. And usually getting up in the morning, it was anywhere from like 35 to like 37 first thing in the morning. So that was really bizarre coming from, early or late spring, early summer Ohio, and then straight into Colorado and still being snow out. So that was really strange to see, but it was really cool. It was a change of pace and basically just learned all the different dynamics of camp and learned what was coming up for me.
Did it take a while for you to get used to the altitude up there?
Yeah, it for sure did. I like to run and exercise quite a bit. And so as soon as I went there, I there's like a gym on site and also like people kind of run around camp. And so I went ahead and just kept doing like my normal routine and was just absolutely gassed anytime I tried anything. So it was actually really surprising for me. And I honestly, throughout the 2.5 months I was there, I never really got like totally adjusted, other than like not getting generally lightheaded and like short of breath like I was in like the first like early weeks. I never got adjusted during a workout. I was always gassed. So very thin air at 6,300 feet, which is where camp is at.
It was high up. I can agree with that. I mean, I think with my second time being out there, I was used to it, kind of. But, you know, like you said, 6,300 feet, that's kind of wild. And then when you go through the front range, as they call it, as you're driving to Gypsum, you go up through it's Avon or Vail.
Vail Pass.
Yeah, Vail Pass, where they have the highest point on I-70, which is like 10,300 feet, which is insane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I drove through there on the way to camp, it was like pouring snow as I was coming through Vail Pass. So that was also a huge shock to me as well. So,
and your little Toyota Corolla, probably not the best in the snow.
It did it. It did great.
That's good. I think the thing for me, even with camp, that surprised me the most was how much staff like actually goes into making these camps possible. I think that, I don't know what I had envisioned in my head, but just how many people that was actually on staff for the summer, I think was really awesome to see, helping out with such a great cause.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have a pretty big staff, even compared to some other Serious Fun camps at Roundup. I think there were like 12 people on the program team, whereas like some camps only have 5, and they just kind of generally look over the different programs. Ours had like a pretty large staff. So,
and talk about, you know, you're there were 6 week-long camps during the summer after your 2 weeks of training. What was your favorite week of camp and why?
So it's hard to say like I have a favorite, because I really did enjoy like most of the weeks. They all had like their great like high moments. But one that definitely comes to mind for me was probably week 5, I believe, which is GI was like that week, and the theme that week was the 6 realms. So it was like a medieval like kingdom theme at camp. That one was really special for me because I was a lot of the opportunity to be like one of the characters for that week. So basically they do like characters for the kids throughout that week, and like the staff do them, and like you make a video when you're at like their like large events and things like that. So that was really fun for me because I was king for the week. And my great friend Nicole December was the queen. So we had a great time with that. So much fun. And the kids like all played along with it. Even the older kids like were really into the theme and had a really good time, and everybody in that week was just really all about like camp and having a really good time. And the older kids, for instance, I was in the oldest boys cabin. They did a really good job of influencing the younger cabins at camp and kind of stepping into that role as leader. So I was just really proud of my own cabin, my role at camp, and just the experience that we all had that week. And it was just so much fun, and definitely a week that I would love to go back to. But all the weeks definitely had their different high points. That's just one that comes to mind.
During the course of the summer, were there a lot of Phi Taus that you saw volunteering at Roundup River Ranch?
Yeah, every week, other than the 3 that were on full-time staff, which are one of the managers, Marty, a cabin leader, Nathan, and then myself on the program team, we usually had at least 1 to 2 and upwards of even 4 come per week, just different Phi Taus across the nation. We got probably the most came from Nebraska Wesleyan. We had about 3 different guys throughout the summer come from there. A great chapter out there. And it was just really cool meeting like the different guys coming out, and made me really proud to be a Phi Kappa Tau. To every week when the volunteers showed up, I knew I was going to meet another Phi Kappa Tau just because it was an expectation. And it was good to always see that. And they were always really great guys. So just always proud to be a Phi Tau, really.
And you mentioned Marty. He's a former staffer. He worked at the executive offices for a number of years, left in, I think he told me 2014, and now he works at Roundup River Ranch. Was that something that was kind of cool to have a fellow Phi Tau on the actual like permanent staff at Roundup River Ranch helping you out throughout the week and just getting to see him and talk about Phi Tau?
Yeah, it was really nice having Marty there. Besides Marty just being a great manager and just a great Phi Tau in general. He's also just a really great person. So it was easy to click with him and work with him throughout the summer. But it definitely did give me like some comfort going to camp, knowing, hey, there's a Phi Tau here who's, shared some of the same experiences as me. He joined his chapter as a founding father as well. So he got in on the experience early, like myself. So we have a lot of like similarities. So it was easy to relate to him. So it made the experience a lot more like comfortable for me early on, knowing that, I'm here in a spot that someone who has been through the same path as me is also in. So it's just kind of like interesting, some of like the coincidences between us. We're also kind of fun to discover, but definitely helped my experience a lot, I think, having Phi Tau's already being there.
I was going to say, with the coincidences, you guys shared the same office. So that's
and the
cool.
same room.
And the same room at Keystone, yeah.
And the same room in our living situation. So that was all very, very interesting. And we didn't find that out at one time. We slowly would find that out throughout the summer through more conversations. So that was always kind of entertaining.
Yeah. And even aside from Marty, one of the managers, Jenica, actually sat down with myself and Alex Papke and Eli Fowler, the other two recruiters who went on the trip and only volunteered for a week. I guess, we weren't cool enough to volunteer for the whole year or for the whole summer.
No, you were just smart enough to do the application properly.
But she actually came up to us and actually asked about what we do, and was actually interested in how we recruit, because they need to recruit as well. Mm-hmm. And that was actually a really fun conversation to have, just to talk with her about that, as well as just to hear how highly that they talked about every Phi Tau that comes. I thought that was really cool, because there was also people there from, it's called DaVita. It's a medical company.
Mm-hmm.
And they, they have a lot of nurses and medical personnel that come, but, just to hear them say, we love Phi Kappa Taus every time they come, because not only do we have a great partnership with them, but they need male role models and volunteers to help with the cabins. I think that was really awesome to hear how highly that they not only talk of us, but take our partnership with them.
Yeah, so the story that you're referring to as well, she kind of mentioned that when the volunteers are there doing their training, the full-time staff has like a team meeting, and Jenica comes and speaks at it, and she actually gave like a shout out to Phi Kappa Tau. She was like, yeah, so we have like a concentration of people from Avita here this week at camp, and also Phi Kappa Tau, and like everyone like clapped, and I was just like so proud of like, oh wow, like we have a lot of Phi Taus here this week, and that was the week that you guys came. So yeah, Jenica and like Roundup, I feel like really does support our mission as a fraternity, because we kind of work along with them. So yeah, I feel like most people in the Serious Fun Network have a lot of like respect and also expectations from Phi Kappa Tau, and something I'm definitely taking back from going to camp is that I feel like my personal chapter, I would like to get more involved in like the Serious Fun mission, because I know being a younger chapter, we don't really understand all the opportunities that are available, and now going to one of these camps, I see like how good of an experience it is, and the fact that there's literally a stipend for you to get there. I mean, come on. So I'm definitely going to be pushing my chapter personally in the future to do more with not only Roundup, but camps all across the nation. But do have a special spot in my heart for Roundup, so that'll be the first one I mention.
Yeah, absolutely. And while you were away, it was actually, probably less than a week than you left back in May. Phi Kappa Tau was actually awarded the 2019 Serious Fun Excellence in Philanthropy Award, where it was hosted at the SeriousFun Gala in New York City. Trevor Noah hosted it, and, Tim Hudson, the CEO, Bill Brash, Charlie Ball, and honestly, I think we had upwards of 20 people there. All went and attended. Bill got to speak, as well as we'll have another speech as well from that gala at the end of this podcast. But we won that award. We're also coming up on 25 years of partnership with Serious Fun. That'll be next year. What's your kind of reaction to hearing that kind of news?
I think that's really, really great. One cool thing that I thought about it, because I wasn't actually aware of like the awards and all the details behind it that you just explained, but I was aware that that's something that we attended, because the same day that they showed up to that was the same day that I showed up to Roundup. So it's kind of like all the Phi Taus from executive offices kind of went out and did Serious Fun stuff at the same time. So that was kind of cool for me, but I'm glad to hear that, we won that award, and we've been partnering with them for 25 years and doing all these different things. Because like I said, after going there now, I kind of understand what the camps are all about, or have a better understanding that I want to continue to get to learn. So I think I myself want to continue to learn and do better with Serious Fun in the future. And I think in our 25th year or anniversary with Serious Fun, that's what our fraternity as a whole should be doing. We should be continuing to focus on Serious Fun and branch out. And again, that's why I want to go back to my chapter and motivate them to do more with it. And, same for yours and other ones across the nation. I mean, we've left such a good impact on Serious Fun already, but a lot of these camps can handle more volunteers, more staffers. So there's so much room to grow. So I think in year 25, I think we should capitalize on our partnership with Serious Fun by expanding it and working harder to be a better part of that, because Serious Fun is one of the most impressive philanthropy organizations in the United States. I mean, there's a reason there's so many people backing it, and there's so many people in support of it. It's so well ran. It's such a great mission, and it's just such a fun time. So honestly, I think in the next 25 years, we should be getting the same awards. So let's put it that way. I think it's great, and I think we should continue to push for our partnership with Serious Fun.
Let's hope. And I definitely think that we, as a fraternity, I think that we have one of the most, if not the most unique philanthropy in the IFC, NIC realm, to be honest with you.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. And
I don't mean to pick favorites, but I mean, a lot of people join Phi Tau because of Serious Fun. So,
exactly.
Yeah, it's a huge thing.
Yeah, and even when I joined, I didn't even know that philanthropy was a thing for fraternities. But once I heard about it, I was like, wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Just from hearing you talk and hearing you speak about your experiences, it seems like now you have a deeper connection with the philanthropy overall as well.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I mean, you can't. When you're in undergrad, and I talked about this a lot with different Phi Taus that I met, and including yourself when you came to camp, is that when you're in undergrad, it's, if you're a philanthropy chairman or a philanthropy committee or just in the fraternity in general, I'm sure you've put on a philanthropy event and raised some money for Serious Fun. You tell the stories that, you hear other people tell or what you've read on the website. And, it's easy to resonate with that mission and, and raise money for it. But once you go to a camp, you really gain a true understanding and a respect for what they're actually doing once you actually see it and you're there hands-on with those kids, really experiencing and hearing their stories and, knowing what they've been through and having the opportunity to just give them a week of fun outside of what is a pretty difficult life for them with some of the illnesses that they're dealing with. And so it's a really valuable experience that I think has completely changed my already positive view of Serious Fun and made it a much more personal thing for me. Because it's different raising money and putting on an event in your community versus going out there and getting hands-on with these kids. Both beneficial. One I feel is a little bit more impactful to your long-term understanding of what Serious Fun is. So step 1, raise money. Step 2, go visit the camps. So.
Yeah, and that was even what we mentioned. We went around for they call it Volio, the volunteer orientation. And they were like, why did you come and why are you most excited? And honestly, all three of us kind of said the same thing. We've been a part of campaigns that have raised tens of thousands of dollars for this place, but there's a difference between giving your money and your treasures compared to giving your time, because there's nothing more valuable than time.
No,
and
not at all.
Giving your time and actually, like you said, seeing what seeing the look on the campers' faces when they do different things like the challenge course or cabin night. Yeah, our cabin night was pretty fun. Just doing separate things and watching these kids actually have fun, because they don't let these illnesses define who they are. They, a lot of times they just kind of do what they got to do and they just go about their day, and that's a normal routine for them, which is might not be normal to somebody else who might be healthy or something, but they just don't let it affect them, and they always have a smile on their face and they're always just trying to be a normal kid, which is incredible to see.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right, man, and it's just such a good time.
So for being a summer staff cabin leader, would you do it again if you had the chance?
Yeah, so being a program leader was really fun. I would absolutely do it in the future. I don't know in the future if I'll have a full summer to commit to a camp. In a perfect world, I absolutely would. But in the world I'm living in now, I absolutely intend to volunteer at least for 1 week for every summer for as long as I can. Like I said, Roundup River Ranch has... my heart. It's my favorite camp, but I would like to try other camps in the future, but that's going to take 2 weeks, because at least 1 week every summer is going to go to Roundup. So it's an amazing place, and I absolutely intend to go back. And a lot of people do. Almost every single volunteer who came this summer was a returner. And then the new ones are constantly talking about how they're going to be coming back. So it's just such an awesome experience that once you go once, you kind of have to go back because it's so refreshing.
Yeah, it's like a week away, especially in the middle of Gypsum, Colorado, where there's no service and you basically get to check your phone at 10 o'clock at night. It's
it's beautiful.
Yeah, and it's beautiful. Yep. Such a nice getaway.
Oh, yeah. It's like a little vacation.
Yeah.
And if you're a Phi Tau, there's a stipend just to get you there.
Yeah, for the undergrads, yes.
Yep.
And being a program leader, what would you say was the best program that you got to lead out of all of them?
So I mainly did equestrian this summer. I drove the hayride back and forth from camp to the stables. So that was one that I did a lot. But I would say personally, my favorite had to have been archery. I really liked doing archery because like basically the kids show up and like there's not a kid in the world who doesn't show up to an archery center and not get super excited. And I really like thrive off of that energy. So it's just so much fun. It was so easy to have a good time at archery because every group who came through was so excited to like be shooting a bow and arrow. Because I mean, how cool is that? And it's generally not so much of a learning curve as well. So it wasn't overly difficult to teach anybody that as well. So it was just an overall job that I could focus on, mainly just having fun and making the experience really great for the kids. So archery was definitely my favorite program, and my fellow program leaders at archery were also really fun to be around. So
yeah, I know my group had a really good time at archery. We even got to shoot ourselves, and that was pretty cool. Just getting to partake in the activities as well.
Just a question. You got to shoot as well. Did you go one-on-one against the campers?
We did.
Did you beat the campers one-on-one?
So we didn't get the chance to fully shoot. So because we got into a huge fight with our campers about this. So when I went, myself and Alex Papke, we were in what's called the Arrowhead group. They're the 13 to 17-year-old boys. Had a good amount of fun with them during the week. But for the archery, so they had 10 shooters, and we had only 8.
Oh,
but
boy.
But we were only down by 32 with 8. So honestly, if we put 2 more back up there that did pretty well, Alex did well, and then between me and him round 1, we got like 43 points.
So by averages, you would have won.
We would have won.
You should have told him to divide.
Yeah, we should have.
Maybe next time.
It also helped. It also helped that probably the best shot there. He goes and he bow hunts with his dad, but he forgot to count, so he got a 0. So yeah, he took all of his arrows out, and we're like, "Did you count?" And he was like, "Oh no, I forgot." So
oh no.
Yeah, so that kind of helped us out a little bit too. We probably would have been down by like 50 if we if we did, but I'd still say that we would have won just based on averages. So that's iffy. If you ask the campers, they won. If you ask us, we won.
Okay, nice.
So what would you say overall is your best story from camp?
Let me think. There's a lot of really good stories, but I'm gonna have to go with probably the cabin night from the week you guys were there. Like I said, every single week was full of so many good stories, but one that comes to mind right now is definitely every week at camp there's what's called a cabin night. The leaders of the cabin put on like a specific activity that happens from like 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock at the end of the night, and you can pretty much do whatever, but it has to be like good for your kids. So like the idea is it's like the 4th day into camp, so you have time to like learn your kids and to like develop something really cool for them. A lot of people will do like maybe a scavenger hunt that includes something else all across the camp, or go play gaga ball with like teams and play music and do snacks, or just so many different things. You can even use like the archery course for cabin night, I believe. And so there's so many different things that you can do, but it has to be specific. And so that's kind of the trick to it as team leaders. You want it to be really good because since anything can go, basically, you want it to be specific because you don't want your kids to not have a good time and you accidentally like pick the wrong thing. So we were having a week where we were having trouble deciding on exactly what we should do to make sure the kids have a great night. So we narrowed down on an escape room. And what we did is in the cabins, there's like the main room, then like an open area room where the like doors where you exit are, and then outside, of course. And those were like our 3 phases. So like phase 1 was in there, and that was with Alex and one of our cabin leaders, Sam. And the second phase was with you, Zach, and Matthew. And that was the second phase of the escape room. They had like answer riddles and different things like that. And the third phase was like an outdoor game. And my favorite thing about it is just like we weren't sure that the escape room was going to be like exactly what the kids loved. So like maybe 2 or 3 hours beforehand, we're sitting there planning, and we just all kind of collectively say like, we are just going to go as like silly as we can and throw as much fun stuff into this as possible. And we know if we put everything into it, these kids are going to enjoy it. And so we, did costumes and came up with so many different things for like the outdoors game afterwards, the riddles on the inside, and just try to make it as fun as possible. And one thing led to another, and the guys are in dresses and I'm in a tiger costume, and I don't really know what came next, but it was such an awesome night, and we wound up having a really good time with all of our guys. They said how much they loved the escape room, and was capped with camped Quidditch, which is basically like ultimate frisbee mixed with Quidditch mixed with like football. I don't know. It's so many sports combined, but the kids just absolutely loved it, and it was something that we were all really nervous about. We just went for it, and that's just like a really good memory for me, because it kind of encompasses like just embracing being down to clown is what I call it. Just like embracing joy is a big thing that they say at camp, and like that's something we just did that night and went for it. It was just such an awesome experience at camp, and I think those kids are really going to enjoy it, and they talked about it for the rest of the time at camp. So, and I mean, I know you had a good time, and so did I.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that was. Yeah. I mean, that was the biggest hit. I mean, they were kind of a rambunctious group, and it was kind of.
We were afraid to put them inside for an escape room for sure.
Yeah. Because 13 to 17-year-old boys, like they just kind of do what they want to do, and if they don't like it, like you're gonna know.
Yeah.
And so
yeah.
And that was some of the problems that we kind of ran into, but I like you said, like that's all they talked about was cabin night. I think, the riddles, like I was not in the first room, like you said, just to hear them like work together as a team. And it was kind of funny because when they first got in there and like trying to figure it out, like they're all yelling at each other and they're all trying to figure out like what in the world's going on, like how is this riddle going to go? And then they finally like figured out like, okay, like put the brains like towards this, and then like let other guys like figure out other clues. And then the second room, I knew it wasn't going to take too long, but it was just kind of funny because we took the drum cymbal, and when they were like marching in, like Alex was just playing like a marching like beat on the drum, and obviously they see like 4 guys in dresses, and they're like, what in the world is going on?
It was all very bizarre.
And I think that you ran up to them in a tiger suit, and they just went out to Quidditch, and I think that they just had a lot of fun because they love competitions. They were definitely the most competitive group out of all of them, and I think that like you said, that's all they talked about. And after that, we had a really good ending 2 days, and I think that we really left a mark on them. And even for me personally, like my favorite story off of cabin night was just seeing, we had a camper that's, it was his first time at summer camp. He had a really tough moment with his mom before he left, and seeing him eventually open up after 2 days of just kind of sitting there, and all he wanted to do was draw, and if he wasn't into it, he wasn't going to do it, because the saying at camp is challenge by choice. And seeing him open up and actually get to play games and participate in the candle chats and the activities that we had at night before bed, and eventually he found out that he loves fishing because he forgot how much he loves fishing after catching 3 fish. It was just really cool to see, and I think that that's something that I'll always carry with me as well.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I mean, these camps all across the world are full of moments like that, of kids who found new joy in something through their struggles. And I think that just speaks a lot for the camp in itself. Just in that 1 week you were there, you saw all the magic that I saw 6 times over this summer. And like I said, that's happening all over the country every summer. And throughout the fall, through family camps and different things. So the whole network is just such an amazing, impactful thing. And I know all Phi Taus have a week of time to spare to this, and I think people should spend more time. And it's just so much you can get back from it, because you're not just watching those kids develop throughout the week, you're watching yourself develop too. So it's an awesome opportunity, and Serious Fun is just overall best philanthropy.
Totally agree. Well, Colton, glad to have you back in Oxford, and thank you very much for coming on, man.
Yeah, dude. Thanks. Glad to be here.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Serious Fun Children's Network Ambassador, Clea Newman.
I just got here, so I'm relieved I made it here from Indianapolis. Thank you, everybody. Oh, I'm supposed to read over there, sorry. Tonight, I'm here to introduce our first honoree, Phi Kappa Tau. I've been lucky enough to spend some of the time with these extraordinary men of Phi Tau, the leadership, the alumni, the brothers, and of course my daddy. And it's something I really cherish. To be surrounded by these young men who are so committed to giving back, to volunteerism, and to making the world a better place, not just for themselves, but for others, is truly inspiring. And I know for a fact they bring that inspiration, that creativity, and that compassion with them to every Serious Fun camp they visit. Just think about how it makes our campers and families feel to be surrounded by such enthusiasm and joy. It's people like our Phi Tau brothers who make the Serious Fun camp experience life-changing. We could not do it without you. And of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention how much it means to me, my family, and our network that the entire organization of Phi Kappa Tau holds my father in such high esteem. They are not only passionate about preserving his legacy and introducing it to younger generations, but they live it to the fullest extent every day. So before tears come, I'd like you to enjoy the video tribute to our phenomenal partner of 25 years, Phi Kappa Tau. They're amazing, right? Anyway, please join me in welcoming to the stage Bill Brash, National President of Phi Kappa Tau Fraternity, and Cliff Unger, Phi Kappa Tau Foundation Trustee, to accept the 2019 Serious Fun Excellence in Philanthropy Award. Thank you.
Good evening. As the National President of Phi Kappa Tau, I accept this prestigious honor and recognition on behalf of the 100,000 men who have joined our fraternity since 1906. But we're not here just to get an award. I pledge tonight, I'm sorry, I'm losing it after that video. I pledge our continued support for the camps, both financially and with volunteer man hours for, let's just say, the next 25 years of our partnership. To share some perspective on the impact camps have had on us as fraternity men, I invite Cliff Unger, a trustee of the Phi Kappa Tau Foundation, to share just a few words from his experiences.
Thank you, Bill. And to echo Bill's message, thank you, Serious Fun, for this meaningful recognition. It is a personal honor for me to be here. I've had the good fortune of visiting 3 different Serious Fun camps and the humbling experience of volunteering at both the Painted Turtle Camp and Roundup River Ranch. Of all of my involvement with the network, most impactful and memorable for me was the summer of 2011 when I was fortunate enough to volunteer at the opening session during the first summer at Roundup River Ranch in Colorado. These are my people. It was Hematology and Oncology Week, and I'm not sure who was more nervous, wide-eyed, or excited, the campers or the brand new staff and the volunteers that were breaking everything in. My week there was not necessarily unique in that all of the volunteers experienced a wide range of emotions, witnessed the bravery of some truly amazing kids, and engaged with one another to form meaningful and lasting relationships. I was lucky enough to form friendships with numerous members of the undergraduate classes of Phi Kappa Tau, and also with, interestingly enough, one of the oncology physicians at University Hospital in Denver. I had the chance to learn from his unrelenting optimism, his enthusiasm to support his patients at camp, and the way he supported the overall endeavor. And he's now someone that's been a tremendous friend and asset to me as I've recently started my own journey through the often scary world of blood cancer. And that's really what the camp experience is all about, isn't it? Connecting and growing and enriching one another. The same is true for our young men. Above the individual experiences and the friendships and the memories, what truly drives Phi Kappa Tau's commitment to Serious Fun is how much our members gain from their stewardship of the camps. Of all the impactful leadership development programs we offer and the rich social education that we can provide, Our organization simply cannot replicate the learnings and growth that come from our partnership with SeriousFun. The way it's touched the lives of more than 2,000 of our members directly, the countless others involved in fundraising at our chapters, or the 1,000 plus campers we've had the honor of sponsoring to date. So to parallel the final verse of the Phi Kappa Tau membership creed, we will continue to discharge the obligation to others that arises from the fact that we are fraternity men. And we couldn't ask for a more meaningful partnership. Thank you all very much.
Thank you for all of your contributions to the Serious Fund. Back to Erica. Yes, yes, yes! Yes, yes, yes! Yes, yes, yes!
Well, thank you very much for tuning into today's episode. Like I said earlier, this is a great opportunity for Phi Taus, not only just for community service hours and to raise money for philanthropy and all that, but also for you to go and just have an experience that might put you out of your comfort zone. And that's really where life begins, is out of your comfort zone. I will challenge this again. I challenge every single Phi Tau to try and make an effort to volunteer at these camps. They need male role models. Every camp could take on more staff, more volunteers, and I highly recommend it. It's just such a wonderful experience. And with that being said, thank you very much for listening. Hope you all, learned something, as well as got to take a little sneak peek into SeriousFun Children's Network and what we like to do with them as our national philanthropy. With that being said, please tune in next week. We'll have the communications team up next. We'll be talking to Logan Lukács and Lily Steger. We'll be talking to them about past editions of the Laurel, the website updates, social media, as well as we have the 100th anniversary of the Laurel coming up. So that'll be a huge issue that they've already started to advertise on social media, but we'll talk all about that, what we can expect with that, as well as what it means for them to be on such a special edition and release of the Laurel. So thank you all very much for tuning in. Have a great week. Hope it's a good one. Hope it's all good weather for you guys before, the school starts kicking in. I know the classes are coming up soon. Go Phi Tau.
We are brothers now and ever, until the day we die. And when that time comes rolling round, and we bid our last goodbye, there is one thing sure and certain. Let us bow our heads in awe. We'll meet again.